Good morning, children. Yesterday I had done for the 7th standard mode of nutrition, unit 1 for you all, and I had explained a basic, the main thing of the main gist of this unit was how the plants manufacture their food. Fine, children. So I had given you the basic full layout of what happens in photosynthesis, why is it called photosynthesis. I gave you the formula for photosynthesis, and I had even given you the full details like how and what happens around in manufacturing of the food in plants. That was the yesterday's topic which I had spoken. Then I had given you the revision, FA1 revision. I had given you three mains. I had given you the fill up the blanks, I had given you the match the following, and I had given you the major big question that was about photosynthesis. So today, going forward on that, I'll just give a small summary on the lesson which is left after photosynthesis, or the different type of nutrition that plants take. They have different types of nutrition that they can derive their food from. So the first thing was photosynthesis, that is from simple substances, that is from sunlight, water, minerals from the soil, all that stuff. That was regarding photosynthesis. Next you come to a thing where there are different types. I said autotrophs are there, heterotrophs are there. Autotrophs where the plants manufacture their own food for themselves. Heterotrophs are where the animals depend on the plants for their food. So when we come to heterotrophs, under this section, children, there are many different types of mode of nutrition. The first one is known as parasites. Now parasite is a particular kind of you can say organism. It's a kind of organism that lives on somebody else's body and derives the nutrition from that body. So parasite is basically it needs a host, it needs a person, it needs another tree, it needs another animal. This parasite logs, it sucks, it comes onto the body, and it derives the food from that living body, that living, like a plant, tree, that's a living organism. A human being is a living organism. So parasites are those organisms which live on a host to derive their food for themselves. They take the food from the host. The host obviously eats food, and these parasites take food from the host body. So in the same manner here I have given in this 6th main, I have given differentiate between a parasite and a saprophyte. So parasites, children, that is what I said, it stays on the host and deprives nutrition from the host, and it depends on the living host for food. So there is if you all can see this is a yellow color, this is a tree covered with a yellow color. It's a yellow color, you can see some yellow colored things on top of the tree. This is called Cuscuta. This yellow colored parasite is called Cuscuta, which you find in many trees. They live on the tree and they derive the food from the leaves of the tree, but they don't have any color. They are all yellow colored. It is like a thread of yellow colored interweave thread that is found on some trees. So they are termed as a parasite. Second under heterotrophs, you get a kind of a insectivorous plants. I showed you this picture yesterday, children. I told you about this plant. It has green leaves, but the plant is called pitcher plant because they have a kind of a pitcher shaped fruit, inside which they have a lid on the top. So this lid is open, which draws flies, insects and all that stuff. Soon as they sit on the rim, the lid closes, and this plant, the living fly or insect or whatever sitting on top of this plant, it gets digested by the juices found in this pitcher plant. So because it looks like a pitcher, it's called a pitcher plant. Like this, children, there are many insectivorous plants which draw bees, they draw flies, they draw mosquitoes towards themselves, and soon as these small animals or insects sit on them, they close their trap, and then they digest this. It's like a carnivorous plant. It eats flesh. It digests these small insects. So then that is the second type of a plant which has a different type of a mode of nutrition. It gets nutrition from a different source. Then you come to saprophytes. Now children, saprophytes are, have you ever seen a bread? When a bread gets rotten, sometimes you see a white mold on top of the bread, or you can see a tiny greenish color mold on top of any rotten thing. So this rotten mold or that layer that you see on top of a bread is actually called fungi. This fungi, it comes under saprophytes. Now the parasites depend on living organisms to gain their food. In return, saprophytes or fungi is what you say, they depend on dead. They depend on dead and rotting. Rotting means it's dead, it's not live, it's already dead, and they'll be decaying, means it gets spoiled. Decaying over here means spoiled. It gets spoiled food. So fungi or mold or whatever you say, like this, a green layer, a white layer is always found on food that is spoiled and food that is dead, no more dead. You cannot consume it, you cannot eat it. So it requires saprophytes, they are a type of fungi which thrives or lives on dead and decaying food. It requires warm and wet food to thrive on. Means if the food is little bit warm and it's little bit wet and it's left in the open, definitely a mold or a fungi will cover the whole area of it. So that is called saprotrophs. They are called as saprotrophs. So I have given you two examples here. For parasite, I explained to you Cuscuta, and for saprotrophs, a bread mold. So that is the two types of examples that are there. For parasites, children, there is another example which I can share with you all. If you all have seen in the jungles hippos that live in the mushy water. Now in that, whenever you see a hippo, you will see a small bird. This bird always is on the hippo's back. So what happens so the bird lives like a parasite on the hippo. Wherever the hippo goes, the bird will be on the hippo, because when this hippo goes under the water, it gets lot of muck or mud on its body, from which the birds can pick up their tiny worms, they can pick up their tiny fishes or whatever they get trapped in that hippo's body, they can pick up that from the body. So that bird too, the bird is called a parasite. It lives always on a hippo's body. So this is just an interrelationship between the hippo and the bird, and over here between a tree and a Cuscuta. So this is what a parasite does. It lives on a living organism and takes the food from them. Saprotrophs live on dead organisms and they manufacture their food for themselves. They go as fungi. Now when we come to nutrients that are in the soil. Yesterday I had showed you in Match the Following, Rhizobium. Rhizobium, children, it's a kind of a nodule which is grown in the root of the certain plants. The legumes, you have this dal, you have brown grams, all the legumes that are there, they have these nodes in their roots. These nodes are full of this rhizobium. They are called rhizobium. So they give a lot of nitrogen to the soil, which helps the soil to be more fertile. So what do farmers do? Farmers will always plant one crop of these legumes for 6 months. Then they will plow the field, and then they plant the second crop. So in this manner, the field gets fertilized by the rhizobium that is present in the root. So in this manner, rhizobiums cannot make its own food, but they live on this root to provide the food. They provide the root with these nodules, they provide the root with nitrogen, which is very healthy for the plant, and they live on the food that the root soaks up from them. So that in this manner, children, all this, the basic, the first unit of the lesson I've just summarized for you just before your FA1 exam, and I had given you 3 mains yesterday. So today Miss will take the other 4th, 5th and the 6th main. So under the 4th main over here, I have given name the following. You just have to give one word. You just have to name one word. Over here, a parasite plant with yellow slender. You can see this is, it's yellow, slender, and branch stem, that is Cuscuta, which I showed you, a yellow colored, I showed you the picture in the book. It's a yellow colored branch, stemmy parasite which grows on trees. Then second one is, you just have to give one word. So you just write the word Cuscuta. Okay children, this is Cuscuta. The pores through which leaves exchange gases. I told you on the leaves there are tiny pores yesterday. There are tiny holes through which it takes in sunlight, it manufactures its own food, and gases are released between these pores. So those pores are called as stomata. Those pores are called as stomata. The third one, the green pigment found in the leaves. When I was explaining photosynthesis, children, I told you the green pigment that gives the green color to the leaves is called chlorophyll. So the green pigment found in leaves is known as chlorophyll. So this is the thing here, chlorophyll. You just have to write this one word. Next, the 5th main is just true and false, whether it's true and false. So the first one is carbon dioxide is released during photosynthesis. What is released during photosynthesis, children? Yesterday I had explained to you all. Human beings take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Plants in return take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So is this correct? Carbon dioxide is released during photosynthesis. Is it correct? No, it's false. So you'll just have to tick false. Next, second one. Plants which synthesize their own food are called saprophytes. I told you they live on dead and decaying food. Saprotrophs live on dead and decaying food. So, do they synthesize their own food? No, they are deriving their food from the dead food already. So, that is again, it's false. You come to the third point. The product of photosynthesis is not a protein. It is not a protein. What is it, children? The product of photosynthesis is a carbohydrate. It's not a protein. It's a starch. So it is not a protein. So this is, it will be true or false. So it is true. It's not a protein. It's carbohydrate. So it's true. It is not a protein. It's a carbohydrate. Fine. Now, 4th point, solar energy is converted into chemical energy during photosynthesis. Is this correct, children? Solar energy which we get from the sun is converted into chemical energy. Chemical energy, is it correct? It is converted into gases. The solar energy is converted into, it's taken from the plants and it's converted into gases. So, during photosynthesis, this is true. Then the 6th main is differentiate between a parasite and a saprotroph. I had already explained to you, parasite, it stays on the host and gets the nutrition from the living host, from the body of the host. Saprotrophs, they live on dead and decaying food, and they enjoy eating food from getting from the dead matter. Second point, it depends on the living host for food, and saprotrophs, it requires warm and wet food to get their own food. When the food gets spoiled or decayed only, they'll be able to live on it. The example for a parasite, I have given you Cuscuta, and saprotroph, I have given you a bread mold. So in this manner, children, the first lesson I have already just did it in a brief manner with you all. just for the FA1 exams, you all can focus on the questions that I have given you as revision. This is the FA1 revision. You all can just go through this and just learn these mains only. From this mains, I'll be giving you the question paper set for FA1. When you return back to school, I will be doing this lesson in more detail with you. I'll be giving you the question answers which you will have to write down in your classwork note. This is just for your reference for something for FA1 revision. You just have to study this main, today's main and yesterday's main, and study that and keep it ready for your FA1 revision. Fine children, just have a look on this, and that's it. When you get back, if you have any doubts, please send your message on the WhatsApp number. I'll get back to you for that. Thank you, children.